Hey, JC.
How's New York this week?
It's beautiful. Perfect fall weather, I have to say.
I know it's Ad Week too, so lots of
That's
parties.
true. That's true. There's a lot going on.
I miss it. Well, thanks so much everyone for tuning in. I have Paul from Butterworks today. We're going to do a step by step generation of AI videos. I'll do a quick intro and then we'll start with your questions. So, if anyone in the chat has questions, please comment your questions. And then if you don't, yeah, you can just comment butter because that's the name of Paul's company. So I'll do a quick intro. I'm Jay Z. Call me Jay Z like the rapper. I am a AI video coder and marketer. Paul, I know you've run some of the most fun like New York magazines, and now you have a production house. So why don't you intro yourself?
Okay, thank you. So I'm Paul. I'm the CEO of Butterworks. We are a digital video company that focuses on AI. And as a matter of fact, we've been doing AI and video for the past 6.5 years, both on the predictive side and the generative side. We work with Google, Netflix, Verizon, P&G, Disney, Paramount, lots of other big companies, which has been great. And as I said, we have a focus on consulting and production for video and AI. My career has all been in media and digital media. I was CEO of College Humor. I was CEO at Nylon. I ran digital at Time Inc. and TV Guide. I was at A&E where I ran their digital video studio. And so I've been immersed in video and media for my whole career. So this is very exciting, and I'm excited to be here to talk to you.
That's so awesome. I love nylon, and some of those properties were so fun. So
Thanks.
happy to have you here. Anyone in the audience, please comment butter or ask a question. But Paul, I think you prepared a video, so should we share it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's a couple of different examples that I put together.
All right, let's play.
Okay, so what video AI presentation would be complete without a digital twin introducing myself? Hi, I'm Paul, and thanks for taking the time to discuss AI with me. It's such a fast moving industry that there's always something new to talk about. By the way, this isn't me talking, it's my digital avatar, which I've prompted with only text. I'll explain more in a minute. Let's get started. So, I'm sure you've seen a number of these. This was HeyGen, but I just think it's such an incredible technology, and we're actually using it in a couple of different ways. One is we're working with a healthcare network of cardiologists who are building a video portal for patient education, and we're using AI to have the doctors create customized videos for patient groups. So the applications are really limitless, and it's really amazing how far it's come. But let's get into to creating video with prompting. So there are a number of different ways to prompt AI video generators. Today, I'm working with Runway ML, Luma Dream Machine, Pika, and Augie, and I'll sort of walk through all of those different ones. And you can prompt with either pure text to video, with image to video, or video to video. And I'll show you examples of all of that and how well or how not well the AIs pick up on that. So let's just start with a text prompt. The prompt I chose was: a mother and her daughter are walking away from us in a cornfield. The camera raises up as they walk forward. As it pulls up, we see crop circles all around. And I'll show you a little bit later why I chose this particular prompt. But let's get into it. This is Luma, and this is what they came up with just a text prompt. Whoops. So not bad. No crop circles, but it is pulling up in a way, and you can sort of see the two people walking. So it's actually pretty good for just a text prompt. Now let's see how Pika does. So not quite as good. The mom's kind of bouncing along with the kid. The camera doesn't pull up. So far Luma's doing pretty well. For Runway, they had sort of, an interesting video as well. There's sort of these extra two people walking, no crop circles yet, and they're kind of walking straight through the corn. But again, it's, they're getting the gist of it, and so it's a good start. Now let's try it with starting with an image, an existing image. So the prompt is the camera raises up to reveal the two people walking in the cornfield. And as it pulls up, we see crop circles all around. So this is the image I started with. This is my wife and my kid walking through a cornfield. And so let's see what Luma did with that image. So not bad in terms of the camera motion, and I think it's a crop circle far in the distance. Interesting that it had the kid turn around and walk towards the camera, which is not exactly what I had hoped for. But again, you can see that starting with an image really gives you a lot cleaner output in terms of what you're looking for and the kinds of things that you want. This is Pika in terms of what they came up with. So, not great. The camera didn't pull up. We don't see any crop circles. We don't see much of anything other than the two people walking away. It did keep their bodies and their likenesses pretty consistent, which is good. But I was hoping for a little bit more. So now let's try Runway. And this to me is the best one of all by far. You see the crop circles, the people are walking away. There are actually other people in the cornfield, which I find interesting. They kind of decided to put some other humans in there. But so far, I got to give Runway the win on this, because it's really pretty amazing what they were able to do with just a still photo of two people, just from their backs walking in a cornfield. So, it's pretty good, and I've been very impressed. This is Runway 3. And their new version has really come a long way. So you can also do some other cool things with Runway. You can use it to animate just part of an image, which I'll show you. So this is Runway again. This is just a text prompt. A brown squirrel and a dog sitting across from each other at a table at a coffee shop. They each have a coffee cup in front of them, and this is what it came up with. Not anywhere close to what I wanted. But so what I did is I used Dolly to create the image that I wanted. And then I have, then you have them, in front of, sitting in front of each other at a coffee shop with coffee in front of them. And then I wanted the camera to pull back on that image, and I used Runway to do that. And you see morphing of the characters to some extent, but again, it kept it relatively consistent, which I thought was good. And now I wanted to change it. So what I did was I just circled the dog, and the prompt was animate the dog to have it talking. And so it did, which is pretty amazing. It kept the rest of the scene fairly consistent and just animated the dog talking. So again, there's a lot of different things you can use the tools to do, and you have a fair amount of control. These videos were about 4 seconds each, and I wanted to make them a little bit longer. I wanted the scene to continue or be more continuous. So what I did was I used the first video, and I took the last frame from the first video and used it as the image prompt for the next video. And so now what you can see is the two videos, then I spliced them together in post, so the AI wouldn't do that. But you can now see the longer video of the characters. So you have the camera pulling back here, and then you have the dog talking. And so that's another way, if you want to create more continuous motion, is to use the key frame or the frame from the last frame in the image as the prompt for the next one. Runway will also take video to video, which is sort of a new feature. And so this is a video that I shot just outside of my apartment on the streets of New York City. So the prompt, what I wanted to see from Runway was make it look like the cars are on the moon. So let's see how they did. So this is the moonscape. It also changed the aspect ratio. It forced me to change the aspect ratio to 16:9 instead of 9:16, which is how I had shot it, which is probably why things are stretched. But, you can see it's sort of moonscapey and you can see the earth in the background. So, they took a shot. The motion is odd. You can see the truck sort of pulling away, but that car in front was moving sideways. So there's still definitely work to be done on this. Although, if you do some work in post, there are some cool things you can do. So this is one that we used. We used AI. We used Runway to work with existing video, and then did a lot of work in post production. But I still think it came out pretty well, and I just wanted to show it.
Oh, that's like the future. We're going.
Yeah, and we added that effect on. We asked Runway to add the effect on. So again, these are only 4-second clips, and you can see we did a lot in post and added the music and things like that, and the VO. So there's still lots of really cool stuff you can do. There's a program, there's a service called Augie, which you're probably familiar with, to create product videos and things like that. And it's really good. I wanted to try to create a commercial just as an example to kind of show people what was in my head. And so I used a 2-line prompt to create a 30-second commercial for a product called Paul's Hot Chocolate, make the spot feel warm and inviting. And then it created the script, a 30-second script, which I edited lightly. It pulled in licensed stock video, and I swapped a couple of those out, but not many of them. It created the music bed, and it created the graphics in the video. And so I created this 30-second video in less than 5 minutes.
Indulge in the velvety deliciousness of Paul's hot chocolate. Picture this, a steaming cup of rich, creamy goodness complementing your favorite desserts. It's a match made in heaven. Take a sip, close your eyes, and let the smooth decadence sweep you away. Whether you're a dessert connoisseur or just craving a cozy treat, Paul's hot chocolate is here to elevate your indulgence. Embrace the warmth, savor the flavor, and join the countless others who can't resist its allure. Paul's hot chocolate, because every moment deserves a touch of sweetness.
Now I just got to work on DTC marketing that actual product, but that's for another time. Again, there are a number of different services that you can use. The one that obviously people have been buzzing about for a long time is Sora from OpenAI, their video generator, which is not open to the public, but it is open. They did open it up to some creators, some professional creators. This is one of the videos that they created, which is pretty amazing.
Well, they say everyone has something unique about them, something that sets them apart. It's just in my case, it's quite obvious what that thing is. I am literally filled with hot air. Yeah, living like this has its challenges. Windy days, for one, are particularly troublesome. Well, there was the one time my girlfriend insisted I go to the cactus store to get my Uncle Jerry a wedding present.
Anyway, you get the point. It's done really, really well. However, it didn't come out of the gate perfect. In fact, they showed afterwards that sometimes the AI would create a balloon that had a face on it where they didn't want that. Sometimes it was red, and it inserted an actual head on the body where they didn't want it. So they also had to do a lot in post production. But the nice thing is, as the saying goes, this is the worst it'll ever be. And it's pretty amazing right now. So it's going to be incredible to watch what happens in the next 6 months. So these are the tools I use, just my contact info. And so I really appreciate your going on this journey with me.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that people were doing so much in post. I thought that they would just try to reprompt with the balloon but no face.
They did. There was a lot. Apparently, there was also a lot of reprompting that had to take place with that. But in any case, it was pretty cool what they were able to do with it. And like I said, it's only going to get better. And so, you know, Google's got VO, which they're releasing on YouTube Shorts. People are going to be able to play around with it. You know, Meta just released their movie gen. So, you know, everybody's outdoing the competition, which only means that it's going to get exponentially better really quickly.
Yeah, I love how you pointed out that Runway did the camera up that was in your prompt, but none of the others picked that up. So that's really important, right, in film?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, we're going to talk about the evolution of the tools, and I have a question from Carlos. So he was asking, from the social media perspective, how can this be used responsibly?
How can this be used? Sorry, for what?
Responsibly. So is this a problem for creators who would have, you know, done CGI or animated this on their own? And, you know, what is the evolution of the tools for social media in terms of responsible use or irresponsible use?
I mean, anytime you have technology, you're going to have bad actors, which is unfortunate, but it's just part of the game. I do think people need to work hard to use it responsibly. And, you know, you look at VTubers, for example, who are not AI. They've made that very clear that they don't use AI, but they use avatars of themselves. And so they're blurring the line between real people and created avatars and created people. And so, you know, start to think about them, and you know, they have millions of followers. The most followed person on Twitch is a VTuber. And so, you know, I think that it actually creates a lot of opportunity for creators, and opens a lot more doors for people to do a lot more. And so, and it, in a way, democratizes the field even more. So, you know, if you have everybody who's able to use these tools, you can argue, well, you're going to get a lot more slop because people can create, you know, content much more easily. But that was true when, you know, the home video camera came out. Everybody could create something. And yes, a lot of it's not good. And so you still need to be an incredible creator and a very creative person to be able to make something that people want to watch. And so just because the tools have evolved doesn't mean that the creative impulses aren't just as important.
Yeah, how do you go from the transparency, like, you know, obviously this VTuber is an avatar and not themselves, to people like trying to pass off their HeyGen avatars as themselves? You see a line like, you'll get more engagement if you always say this is not myself, or more engagement if you just say this is me. Like, you know, I'm everywhere. I'm awake all the time.
You know, it sort of depends. It's a good question. I think it depends on the audience. You know, and we talk about authenticity, and maybe it's important to be authentic, that it's not actually you, because people will respect that a little bit more and know what they're getting out of the content itself. You know, so far they haven't been able to. There've been a lot of deep fakes, obviously. You know, Reid Hoffman had his conversation where he was talking to himself and interviewing himself, which was incredibly cool. So I do think that people are going to end up using the technology to replace themselves. And do they need to be transparent? I would argue yes. But again, some people just might not care. You know, if you're seeing, you know, and in a way, you could argue that TikTok filters are not being transparent, so that you're seeing somebody who doesn't really look like what they look like. And so that's their AI version of themselves. And they're not most people aren't telling people that they're using a filter. And they've gotten so good that you can't really tell. So I don't know that it matters to a lot of people. As long as the content is engaging, it's just like using CG in a movie. You know, you can tell that they're not actually walking on the moon, or you know that they're not actually walking on the moon, even if you can't tell it. but you're engaged in the story. And again, it goes back to creativity where the story wins. The content wins. And so if you're creating terrific content and using AI and it's your digital twin, to me, that's okay, because it's still coming up with stuff that's very cool.
Yeah, I think I'd rather people use a filter or an avatar than like get plastic surgery or, some of the excessive things that people actually do to transform their faces. So
yeah,
as long as it's transparent, I think it can even be a better conversation starter than hiding the fact that it's a avatar. But I think you have a different opinion, which is great. You're like, it's all good.
I think, I mean, yes, it's all good. It's not all good. It's mostly good. Let me qualify by saying that, because if it gets to the point where, certainly deepfaking somebody else is absolutely out of the question and not okay. But if you're deepfaking yourself, again, if you're creating great content, then I think it is okay. I'm curious why you want more transparency, just to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, I think if you're deepfaking yourself, it's all good, right? Like, it's your message, you prove everything you've said. And so if you're deepfaking others, then there should be transparency, because they didn't approve that message. They didn't want to say that thing. Yeah, I think it's a really
100%. 100%. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. That's not okay.
Well, we have about 5 minutes left, and so people in the audience, I know you're watching and you're shy, so this is the last chance to get your question in, but I'll read some questions that have been texted to me. So one person is asking, do you always go through these 5, generators, or do you kind of have a favorite and you start there, and if it doesn't work, then you kind of pop over to the other generators?
I gotta say, Runway is my favorite tool right now. And that's the one that I've been leaning on, because as you saw from the demo, it really did produce the best output. And so again, the video to video can be rough at times, but again, that's in its early stages as well. Runway's good. I found Luma to be the second best, the Dream Machine. Kling is actually getting much better as well. Playing with that is very cool. There's another tool called Akool, Akool, which can work pretty well. But for me, just personal, I start with Runway to create this kind of content.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's like V3 right now, so they put so much effort into it, and
yeah,
it looks really good.
Yeah.
I've been using Replicate, which has smaller models, and they have some pretty artsy exports. So I think for a mass audience, these like Runways and Pikas and are the best, but some of the like alternative models on Replicate have been really far out as well.
What's your favorite? Is that Replicate's your favorite?
Yeah, right now Replicate is a favorite. I can show you this. Let's see, share screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
So this is a zoom in, forest to the trees, and it was pretty fast, artsy, and so it's not for everyone. It's not for every video, definitely. It's not mass kind of audience, but I kind of like how different this artist is. The model ran pretty quickly, so I like playing with all the experimental models I Replicate.
And this is just one take. It's continuous.
It's continuous, yeah. So in terms of like matching it up to timing, right? You can do it for 5 seconds or 50 seconds, and people kind of like watching the loop because they don't realize it's a loop until a couple of loops in.
It's very soothing. It's like Lo-Fi Girl.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that still hasn't happened really well is sound. So I guess Movie Gen the Meta one that they just announced will have some sound capabilities. And Pika just announced a Pika effect or Pika effect thing where you can take like a still image and make it explode or make it inflate, and it has a sound with it, but that's kind of prepackaged. But that's one thing I'm looking forward to also, is when they get around, when they're able to create sound that matches the video. So if you're pulling up in a cornfield, you hear the birds and you hear the wind and things like that. That I'm excited to see too.
Wow, I'm already there. I feel like in the birds and the wind. So I'll ask you a last question from me, which is the art of turning an idea into a script. That still feels very human. Of course, you could use ChatGPT to go through like 10 log lines and prioritize them. But how do you all come up with a video or like a movie idea?
I think to your point, you can use ChatGPT to do that to some extent to sort of get you started. But that's where the creativity really comes from is, again, the content wins. And so ChatGPT will only get you so far. You really need to have incredibly creative people who are coming up with these ideas and then executing them, and who have a real vision. And again, to me, AI is just a tool like anything else, like a rotoscope. It's just another video tool that you can use to create content. And again, it's getting better and better. I don't think it's going to replace humans in the creative sense, because I just think that's something that you can't quite replicate in terms of actual creativity.
Like, because AI is just going to tell you log line or a script that's been written before, but I think are you saying that you still need like script writers, or what are the titles of the people that you still need to create like a breakthrough film?
You need script writers, you need directors, you need producers, you need actors to some extent, maybe, less and less in certain ways, which is crazy. Although obviously the SAG contract is looking out for that as best as possible. But I think what's interesting to me is that, with actors, for example, they are using the AI likenesses of actors, but they're getting paid for it. So Audible just did a deal where they are going to spin out books that are all AI generated, but generated from real humans.
Oh, nice.
And the real humans get compensated for that. So it's actually better for them. They don't have to go into work. They don't have to read the book. They just get paid.
Sign me up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll end with Devon's question, and thank you so much for waiting patiently. And I think this is a great ending. So for those AI actors, right, he's asking great insights. Are deepfakes currently possible through AI video models? Can they be prevented somehow with the technology for ethics? So for example, if I'm listening to an audiobook and I want to know this is a deepfake versus, a real actor singing every line, like, how would I know, and can they be prevented?
The answer is, unfortunately, deepfakes are absolutely possible, and we see it. People share them on Twitter about the election all the time. For example, it's, and I don't know a way to prevent it. I really don't. Ethics is a self-enforced code that you hope people will follow. Technologically, there's really no way to prevent it. HeyGen has controls in place, and they're doing a great job with that, where you have to actually record your likeness before they'll let you make your own likeness.
Mm-hmm.
So they match it up with you, and they know it's you. But there are lots of tools out there, which I won't name, that are very easy to take anybody's likeness and make it say or do whatever you want. And it's very scary.
Yeah, I know for YouTube, for example, like all the Instagram videos I posted with music that was free on Instagram, right? YouTube will flag them and delete them. And I think that's great, if there is a platform-wide initiative.
Yes, that's true. You can certainly recognize the content if it's in their database, if they've but if it's something new,
Mm-hmm.
it may be hard to flag.
Yeah, if it's something new, it's really hard to flag, and it's up to us to flag it. And I think that's your point.
Exactly.
Well, let's do our outros. Paul, how can people find you, ask you questions, contact you?
Thank you. Paul@butter.works is my email. That's probably the best way. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Just Paul Greenberg is my username. So, I'd love to hear from anybody who has questions and wants to talk more about this. I find this stuff fascinating, and I think about it 24 hours a day, and am immersed in it and love it. So I'd love to be able to talk more about it.
Yeah,
And
Paul's
thank you.
really.
Thank you.
Oh,
Sorry.
you're welcome. Paul's really easy to talk to. So, I mean, you've seen that here, but I think you're super down to earth, but knowledgeable as well. So do reach out.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
This was great, JC. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, well, thanks for joining. And I'm going to end the stream for the public, but you and I will stay on for another minute.
Okay.
So we'll do our pageant waves. Okay. All right. See you next time, everyone.